Hey there, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green, and I'm here in the greenhouses at Fantasy Orchids in Louisville, Colorado, to show you some of the beautiful things in bloom and to also show you my orchid collection and kind of update you on what's going on. This is a gorgeous white Cattleya that's got, if you've ever smelled Cattleya walkeriana, it's got a similar fragrance. This plant didn't have a name on it, but I just had to show it to you because it was so nice. Behind this Papharianum, there's a beautiful RLC orange treat. These flowers are a brilliant fluorescent orange, and the plant is covered in them. Lovely, lovely. And last week I showed you this specimen, Rhyncholalia aristocrat, and I just want to just give you a better look of the plant. It's just a big specimen tied to a sprinkler. It's covered in buds, and when it's completely bloomed out, it's just going to be really fantastic. But this plant is actually available at Fantasy Orchids. Not that specific plant, but they sell that clone, that same clone, if you're interested. Okay, well, let's have a look at my green pets. Now, these are the plants that I keep at the greenhouse so that they can get sun, humidity, great moisture and water, and just be happier plants in general. And let's start out with one of my new Cattleyas. I got this one in a raffle at the holiday party for the Boulder Orchid Society. And this is an RLC Jessie Lee, and its first flowers are starting to crack open. These are so nice because they open kind of a peach color, but then they mature to a deeper orange. Next to that is a little catasetum type that I've had for several years. This is Mormodia Jumbo World, and it's just still opening up. It's got about half its flowers open. Has a really lovely, light, delicate fragrance of citrus and menthol. But I think the flowers are really nice. This plant was given to me because the owner didn't really like the color, but it's always had a special place in my heart. Now, last week I showed you this Cattleya Rex, and I was really upset because it was dropping leaves very quickly, and it turns out that my fears were confirmed. Upon closer inspection, the base of the plant was in fact rotting. The thing is, I always suspected that this was actually two seedlings that had grown together, and if that's the case, it looks like one of them may have rotted, but the other one could be okay. If you look at the base of the pseudobulb that I pulled off, it's just completely rotted. I mean, there's nothing left. That's really deceptive because the rest of the leaf and the bulb look fine, but that yellow creeping up the bulb is an indication that it was not going to make it. Now, this is another clone of Cattleya Rex, one of the siblings that I have, and it was having problems with roots in the fall, but luckily it's put out lots of new roots. I'm super excited about this. They're all kind of coming off the same main root there, but more roots is a good thing. So this one looks like it's going to be okay. The seed pod you can see hanging there in the foreground is doing pretty well. But I must say that the best Cattleya Rexes that I have are the ones that are mounted. They dry out quickly. There's no danger of rot, or very slim. The roots you can see are just going crazy. They love crawling all over these pieces of wood. And these actually might have to be mounted on larger pieces of wood soon because they're kind of outgrowing their mounts. Now, this plant I showed you, we've been looking at this Bulbophylla medusae for a few weeks, and it looks like, it looked like they weren't going to bloom, but now it looks like with the warmer days, the longer days, and more sunshine, those spikes that had kind of turned black are actually pushing out and trying to do something. I don't really expect them to bloom out fully just because they're kind of 3 months overdue. But who knows? They might be able to figure something out. I don't have high hopes, but at least it is starting to do something again. And now this is a wonderful Phalaenopsis schilleriana, and you can see that the leaves in the bottom right corner there are just this lovely color with lovely splotches of green, but the spike is really what we're concentrating on this time of year because it's starting to pump out these little buds, and it's got 6 branches, and just really going to be nice when it finally does bloom out. It's not a particularly fragrant clone, but it is really pretty. This is a Paph Appletonianum, and it bloomed last year with 1 flower. This year it's got 2 flowers and kind of a weird leafy thing coming off the top of the spike there. But it'll be interesting when that guy finally blooms out. There's a couple of other paphs that are going to bloom out. This is a Paph urbanianum. Got a nice bud pushing out there. Looking forward to seeing what that guy looks like. I've never seen that one bloom before. And then Paftonsum just above it bloomed last year with a really nice big green flower. So looking forward to those guys as well. One of my orchids that really hasn't gotten much attention lately is my Vanda falcata. It blooms in the summer and it just kind of sits there quietly out of the way, growing the rest of the year, but it put out 3 bloom spikes last summer, so hoping for something like that this year. And then this is Hal, the Bulbophyllum echinolabium, and we've been kind of monitoring his activity recently. He's putting out 2 things at the base there. I don't know, they really look a little too long and skinny to be growths to me. It looks like he might be trying to spike again, but who knows? It's really difficult to tell even at this stage. Another bulbophyllum that's doing really well, this is Lovely Elizabeth, and I wish the thing would bloom, but it's putting out lots of growths. Now hidden down there in the corner is another little miniature bulbophyllum, that's Catenulatum, and you can see it's got one little flower getting ready to pop open, and that's kind of exciting. That was a gift from my neighbor, so that's going to be exciting to see that bloom. So bulbophyllums are looking good, lots of roots, lots of growth. This is another Catasetum type. This is an unnamed Fred Clarkara hybrid, and I've seen some pretty interesting pictures of the flowers of these guys, but this particular one did not bloom this year. Instead, it's just putting out a new growth. And this little bulbophyllum Winlandianum bloomed last year in April, and these are kind of cool because they bloom. The bloom spikes come out before the leaves have fully formed, so we should be seeing in a couple weeks when those sheaths open up a little bit more, we should be able to see whether that thing's going to bloom or not this spring. And then finally, I wanted to update you on this plant that I received in the mail a few months ago. This is a Stanhopea oculata, and I want to say special thanks to Kira for sending this to me. And it's put out 3 new leaves already. They are pristine. They look great, and I can't wait for this plant to bloom. Alright, so that's kind of a tour of what's going on in the greenhouse. Lots of beautiful things, lots of buds coming on. Now let's head over to my apartment so that you can see what's growing in my window. Hey guys, I just want to show you some of the orchids that I have at my apartment. I only have 5 right now. I have some Paphiopedilums, some slipper orchids, a couple of multiflorals. My little Papphilosum here, which I've had for years, just bloomed a couple months ago. Happy to report it's got a nice little new growth pushing out. Very good to see. Glad that it seems to be doing okay in this new dry, cooler environment. Both of these slippers seem to be doing just fine. This Paph Prime Child's kind of a monster. It's got a new growth down there pushing out. It's also trying to work on some other new growths, well, older growths that are still yet unbloomed, and hopefully those will be blooming out in the next year or so. And then this one is a little Paph Michael Kopowitz. Had kind of a rough time in the greenhouse, had kind of an issue with rot, but actually now it's doing pretty good. It's got 2 new growths coming off this fan, and then it's got 2 new growths coming off this fan. So all in all, doing pretty well. You can see, I don't know if you can see a new root. Yeah, you can see it kind of down there. It's just a new root growing out. Maybe not. But anyway, it's doing okay. And then finally I've got a couple orchids over here. This is my Clivia that I got some advice that I need to repot it into something a little bit looser, that this medium's too hard for it or too dense. I need something looser, so I got some orchid mix to put it in. We'll see if that works. And then this orchid's completely dormant. This is my Diana Ophrydis, and it won't be doing anything for a couple months. And then this one is my Cycnodes Wine Delight, and you can see there's not a whole lot left to it, but it does actually have new growth, so that's great. And the roots are coming out on that guy, and it will be, actually it's growing out pretty quickly, so that is not going to be long before that thing starts to grow out. The old bulb is all but lost the last 2 leaves on it, but it's wasting no time in getting back on the growing train. And that's it. So thanks for checking out my green pets, and as always, happy growing. So see you next time.